Hello everyone. I sincerely wish you all good health and peace that lasts through every chapter of your life. Life has taught me that even the smallest moments can leave the deepest marks. That first meal, sitting across from CEO Toan's mother, my hands trembled more than I let show. I wanted so badly to be accepted, to belong. But then she said something soft, but sharp enough to silence my heart. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. Some words don't need to be loud to break you. And in that moment, I realized love isn't the only thing that must be earned. So is trust, and a place at the table.
It was a quiet afternoon, the kind that wrapped itself in golden sunlight and the gentle rustling of garden trees. The scent of freshly cooked rice filled the air, mingling with the subtle aroma of stewed pork and stir-fried vegetables. Inside the modest yet warm dining room, 3 plates were set each with care, each waiting for a story to unfold. Tu Diem sat quietly at the edge of the table. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her sleeves. She wasn't used to this kind of stillness, this kind of peace. For so long, life had been about survival. Now, seated here, opposite the woman who gave birth to the man who had saved her, she felt both safe and fragile. Toan's mother was graceful yet firm. She had the gaze of a woman who had known hardships but chose to smile anyway. She gently placed a piece of braised fish into Diem's bowl. "Eat more, child. You look too thin." Tu Diem gave a polite nod, whispering a soft, "Thank you, Eddie." Her voice was timid, barely above a breath. Throughout the meal, the mother asked simple questions about Diem's health, her legs, her ability to cook. There was no judgment, only observation. But then, between sips of soup and a pause in the conversation, the older woman set her chopsticks down. Her eyes turned gentle but direct, resting on Diem with unsettling clarity. She said, "You remind me of myself when I was young, always trying to hide pain behind silence." The words struck like lightning. Tu Diem froze, spoon halfway to her mouth. Her breath caught in that one sentence. Everything she had buried, the shame, the fear, the running, rose to the surface. Her lips parted, but no words came out. It was as if this woman, a stranger just days ago, had seen through every layer she tried to shield. Toan looked between the two women, sensing something had shifted. His mother continued, calmly but with unmistakable warmth, "If you ever want to speak, I'm here." Not as Toan's mother, but as someone who knows what it means to carry sorrow in silence. Diem swallowed hard, eyes stinging with unshed tears. No one had ever said something so intimate, so disarming to her. She had always been the one listening, the one enduring. But now, in this quiet home, at this simple table, she felt something she hadn't in a long time: belonging. And for the first time since entering this house, she smiled, not out of politeness, but from a place deep within her that remembered how it felt to be seen. The rest of the meal passed with soft laughter, shared dishes, and a new kind of understanding blooming gently between hearts that had suffered in silence and were now learning to heal. That evening, after the meal, Tu Diem helped clear the table. She moved with quiet care, still thinking about what Toan's mother had said. Her heart was heavy, but not with fear. This weight felt different. It was the kind that comes with hope. In the kitchen, Toan leaned against the doorway, watching her. "My mother likes you," he said softly. Tu Diem looked up, startled, then gave a small smile. "She is kind. I didn't expect that." "She's been through a lot, like you," Toan replied, stepping closer. "That's why she understands without asking too many questions." Tu Diem rinsed a plate and whispered, No one's ever said something like that to me before. It's strange. It's comforting. But it also scares me. Toan gently took the plate from her hands. You don't have to be scared. Here, you're not alone anymore, Diem. The words settled into the space between them like a quiet promise. Later that night, Diem sat on the balcony, wrapped in a soft shawl that Toan's mother had given her. The stars above blinked gently, and the wind played with her hair. She heard footsteps and turned to see Toan approaching with 2 cups of warm ginger tea. He handed one to her. "For your health," he said with a wink. They sat in silence for a while, sipping tea, listening to the crickets in the distance. Then Toan spoke again, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "You've been strong for too long. Diem, you don't have to carry everything by yourself anymore." Diem looked at him, eyes glistening. "Under the moonlight, what if I don't know how to let go?" Toan didn't answer right away. He reached out, gently taking her hand in his. "Then let me help you." Little by little, day by day, a single tear slipped down her cheek, not from sorrow, but from relief. For the first time in a long time, Diem didn't feel like she was running. She didn't feel like she was hiding. She felt home. And in that quiet moment, she began to believe that maybe, just maybe, she deserved happiness after all. The next morning, soft sunlight filtered through the curtains, bathing the room in a gentle golden hue. Diem awoke to the sound of quiet laughter and the clinking of dishes from the kitchen. She sat up slowly, the warmth of the shawl still wrapped around her shoulders, and for a fleeting second, she forgot all the pain she had endured. She followed the aroma of breakfast to the dining room, where Toan's mother was already setting the table with a calm grace. Toan looked up and smiled warmly. "Morning, Diem. Did you sleep well?" Diem nodded. Surprisingly, yes. Toan's mother gestured for her to sit. "Come, child, you're part of this home now. Eat while it's warm." The word home lingered in the air. Diem took her seat quietly, glancing at the steaming bowls of porridge, pickled vegetables, and warm soy milk. It wasn't just the food that made her throat tighten, it was the feeling of being cared for, without conditions or expectations. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, until Toan's mother gently set down her chopsticks and looked at Diem with kind, searching eyes. "You remind me of myself when I was younger," she said, alone, scared, thinking that love was something meant for other people. Diem lowered her gaze, her hands trembling slightly. Toan's mother continued, her voice unwavering. "But strength doesn't mean carrying everything alone. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is let someone love you." Diem's eyes welled up. She had no words, just the storm of emotion swirling in her chest. Toan reached for her hand under the table and gave it a gentle squeeze. No words, just presence. The silence after those words was deeper than before, but it wasn't empty. It was full of acceptance, of healing, of the quiet courage it takes to begin again. That day, Diem started to help around the house, not out of obligation, but because for the first time, she wanted to belong. She tended to the garden with Toan's mother, laughed softly when the neighbors kept sneaking in, and even joined Toan on a walk through a nearby park. Every step forward was a small triumph. And as the days passed, the space between her and her new family grew smaller. She no longer stood on the edges, she was slowly finding her place in the center. Though her past still haunted her dreams, it no longer defined her. Because now, when she woke up afraid, there were warm voices, kind hands, and a home that waited, And sometimes, that's all the heart needs to begin healing. It was a quiet Sunday morning when the past came knocking. Tu Diem was in the garden, trimming roses under the soft hum of the breeze. Toan was out inspecting a project site, and his mother was inside kneading dough for dumplings. The day had started with peace, but that peace shattered like glass when a voice she wished to forget called out her name. From the front gate, Ly Tu Diem. She froze, her fingers still wrapped around a thorny stem, her breath caught. That voice, unmistakable, she turned slowly. Standing there was Tyed's elder brother, flanked by two men in worn jackets and hard stares. Behind them, an old motorbike idled, spitting smoke into the morning air. "There you are," he sneered. "Thought you could run forever." Tu Diem stepped back instinctively, her lips parting but no sound coming. Her eyes darted toward the door, but before she could call for help, Toan's mother appeared, wiping her hands on a towel. "Can I help you?" she asked calmly, placing herself between the men and Tu Diem. "She belongs to us," the man growled. "She ran off and left debts behind. Her husband, my brother, was humiliated. We're taking her back." Tu Diem shook her head fiercely. "I'm not going back. I was never truly married. You all tried to sell me. Lies," he barked. But Toan's mother didn't flinch. "You've made your point. Now, leave before I call the police." "Do you know who she really is?" the man snapped. "She is a burden, a curse. She brings shame wherever she goes." Toan's mother stepped forward, her voice suddenly sharp, commanding. "No, you don't get to decide who she is anymore." The air thickened with tension. Tu Diem stood trembling, but she wasn't alone anymore. She felt a hand wrap around hers. Toan had just arrived. His gaze pierced the intruder's. "You will not touch her," he said coldly. "If you come near this house again, I'll make sure the law handles you." The men grumbled, cursed under their breath, and eventually retreated. The gate clanged shut behind them. Tu Diem sank to the ground, overwhelmed. Toan knelt beside her, holding her tightly as tears streamed down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "They'll never stop." Toan cupped her face. "Then let them try. I'll stand between them and you, every time." That night, as Tu Diem lay beside the warmth of the family she had never dared to dream of, she realized something. She was no longer running. She was standing, and with love behind her. She was no longer afraid. In life, we often carry wounds from our past, wounds caused by betrayal, pain, and fear. Ly Tu Diem's journey reminds us that while we cannot always control where we come from, we can choose where we go next. She was once a victim, silenced and abandoned. But through courage and the unwavering support of someone who truly cared, Toan, she found the strength to rise, to speak her truth, and to protect her future. The love she received did not erase her scars, but it helped her heal. The lesson is clear. Love, when rooted in respect and protection, becomes stronger than fate. No matter how dark the past may be, we are not defined by it. With kindness, resilience, and the courage to trust again, we can build a new beginning. Sometimes, it takes just one person to believe in us for us to believe in ourselves. So never give up. Stand for yourself, heal, and let love find you when you're ready to be found.